Hey everybody, welcome to the Critical Spectrum podcast. My name is Matthew Magnus Lundeen. This is episode 7, and I'm joined here as usual by Michael Murguia.
Hello.
Colin Steele.
Yo.
And Frank Pontrelli.
Hello there. General Kenobi.
Indeed. Last week, there was a certain movie that was briefly mentioned amidst a collection of other films that Warner Brothers is releasing this year, and well, we felt that there could be more discussion about it, considering that the movie in question, Godzilla vs. Kong, kind of broke the internet. The trailer showed up, and immediately Twitter was getting into a war over who was better, Godzilla or King Kong. It was a marketing director's wet dream. Everybody was talking about it. And Colin especially wanted to talk more about it. So, Colin, lead us off.
I'm actually super psyched for this movie, despite the fact that I haven't seen the previous movie that tie into this movie. What actually really amazes me is that that still to this day, these big monster versus monster movies can still draw people in like they did back in the day. And this time it's not just some guy in a dopey costume just fucking flailing at each other. It's like CG to make stuff look super cool. So that's honestly the main reason why I'm excited for this movie, is because it's modernizing a really simple idea that just got a lot of people hyped back in the day, but just taking that idea and bringing it to the modern day. But I honestly just wanted to talk about the cast a little bit, because I didn't know that Billy Bobby Brown, or Millie Bobby Brown as the lame people would say it, and Alexander Skarsgård, or as I know as him as, is It Man. And
Wait, who's Billy Bobby Brown?
Millie Bobby Brown.
Who the fuck is that?
From Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Oh. You could have just said 11 from Stranger Things.
No, I'm sorry.
Everybody knows her from.
Identified her as an actual person, not a character, Michael.
No, sorry, that's not how that works.
And then there's It Man. It's like It Man, but do you want to play a game, Georgie?
Excuse me, Zeitgeist from Deadpool 2.
Wait, hold on.
What?
I mean, hold on. We need to slow down, because so you're talking about his name's Alexander Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Wait, no, okay. That's not Bill Skarsgård.
What?
Wait, not Bill.
Alexander Skarsgård? Which Skarsgård are you talking about?
Yeah,
There's
there's multiple Skarsgårds, bro.
Skarsgård.
Isn't Alexander Skarsgård the guy who played It?
No, that's... Well, here's the thing. Why'd you say It Man and not Pennywise?
Because he was saying it like he plays it like Pennywise.
Okay, but
I thought you were saying the It Man, the movie. Or
yeah, and I was going to be like, no, that's Donnie Yen.
Well, you failed.
You failed.
So, Bill Skarsgård is the one who plays it, so you're also wrong.
It Man's
Alexander Skarsgård.
It's like It Man, but it's like lamer old younger brother who's just like a McDonald's worker.
I know him more as Zeitgeist from Deadpool 2, so.
You know, it's good we are talking about the cast, because with these big monster movies, it's going to be 85% people and then 15% actually the monsters. I mean, I don't know if that's the case for what do you call him, King Kong, but the Godzilla movies, it's all the people, and then he starts swimming around and blowing stuff up at the end.
Yeah, well, I could talk a little bit about. Actually, no, Colin, if you have something, go ahead.
Well, I was actually just going to ask you guys, how do you feel about Monster Battle movie being mostly politics and the people? Because I know Shin Godzilla, while great movie, I'll admit I found kind of boring at times because of that. Well,
I think a lot of it comes from the background of a lot of these monster movies. Like, you think about Godzilla. Yes, there's the what's the word I'm looking for? There's that, the simple thrill of watching a giant monster movie. But Godzilla was always also this metaphor for the threat of nuclear weapons and the idea of us creating our own monsters. And so I think that
such a cool idea.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes it can be done well. Like Shin Godzilla, it could be slow at times, but I think it was worth it for creating these very dramatic moments of substantial human casualties within that film. And then also there's the bad examples where like I didn't quite like Godzilla 2014 because you had a bunch of people who weren't that great. Like there's the main guy who, funnily enough, is the guy who plays Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, who in that movie was married to Elizabeth Olsen, who plays his sister in Age of Ultron, Scarlet Witch. So that was kind of weird. But like the human aspect of Godzilla 2014 wasn't that interesting. The most interesting part of it was Bryan Cranston. But they kind of wasted Bryan Cranston, and then all we had was Ken Watanabe, and Ken Watanabe's great.
Say my name. That's all I
know.
Bryan Cranston.
But like, I remember being in the theater with my dad and being like, "Oh no, did he die?" And then we saw him getting carted off in the movie, and we were like, "Oh no, he's getting treated. He'll be fine." And then the next scene, they were closing the body bag, and I was like, "Well, shit." Me and my dad looked at each other like, well, shit.
They're like, damn, well, they wasted that actor.
Brian Cranberry sauce over here.
They were obviously using his name just for his name.
It's like that movie Life that they just had Ryan Reynolds in it to bait people in, and then he died in the first like 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, but at least we still had Jake Gyllenhaal. And we also had Rebecca Ferguson. So it's like they had enough good actors that it was like, okay.
It might keep the interest. Still.
Whereas with Godzilla 2014, I was like,
You don't like 11, huh?
Well, but she didn't show up until Godzilla King of Monsters, which I haven't seen yet.
Oh, I haven't seen either of those.
And the thing I
don't know.
And the funny thing is, so I used to do a radio show back at North Central called, it was called Variety Viso, because my good friend Joe Viso, he had a show, and I was in Japan at the time, so I missed the finale of the show. But they talked about Godzilla King of the Monsters on that final episode, and apparently they hated it, just because the human aspect of the story, like those characters just were not great. But I've also heard from other people that the monster battles were so good that it kind of compensated. And I was like, well, maybe it might be like an Aquaman situation where like some of the performances and the script writing is shit, but like the spectacle and the direction of the film might be strong enough that it can kind of, sway me to like it being good. Hopefully.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. Well, I mean, you kind of think that, yeah, it's supposed to be about monsters, being badass and shit. So I would hope that the parts that the monsters are actually in are the good parts. Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously they have to try to bring a human element because you can't just have monsters just fighting like without brains for the entire time.
Yeah. The best human aspect of this movie universe so far seems to have been Kong Skull Island, which obviously was a bit more of like, it took place in like the 70s, like late 70s, post-Vietnam War, and it was like this military unit, as well as Tom Hiddleston's character, who was like hired as like a tracker, and then Brie Larson's character, who was like a photographer, and a bunch of scientists all going to Skull Island to look for. Well, they're looking for something, but they're not like told explicitly by John Goodman's character that they are there searching for Kong. And so that I thought that was an interesting movie, but it was mostly interesting because John C. Reilly's character, who is like a World War II soldier who crash landed onto the island along with a Japanese soldier, and they were both fighter pilots that crash landed there, and they started as enemies, and then to survive Skull Island's like array of monsters, they ended up working together and became friends. So that was like the coolest part of Kong Skull Island, which was that human dynamic between these two characters. It was like the heart and soul of the film, which I thought was interesting. Meanwhile, Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston were like kind of cool in their establishing scenes, but then were just kind of there to be cool.
They're like, oh my god, they're MCU actors.
Yeah, they're just these are the two attractive people.
So what you're telling me is Jack Black isn't in this movie?
No.
What's the point?
Man, I want to see it.
Watching this? Why are we even talking? You know what? I'm done. Fuck this franchise. Jack Black's not in it. Jack Black needs to be in every franchise that's ever successful ever. He needs to be
Jack Black or Riot.
He needs to be something in the MCU. I don't know what, but he'll be something, and it'll be beautiful.
He needs to be the Thing in the Fantastic Four.
Honestly, though, that would be pretty funny.
It'd be
that
funny.
was a joke. I would honestly hate that.
I was gonna say it'd be funny, but honestly, that would probably be the worst thing.
You see Jack Black. You know that? Have you guys ever seen that scene
Jack Black
from
would be Kang the Conqueror?
There you go.
Yes.
Have you guys ever seen that scene from Always Sunny where Danny DeVito is just lubed up on the floor? Just bald. It would be like that, but with Jack Black. And that's the thing.
Is that when he's pulling himself out of the couch?
No, it's a different thing. You guys really gotta watch Always Sunny. Like
I do. I just haven't seen all of it. There's so many episodes.
I'm mainly talking about Frank and Michael here.
The only thing I know is Pepe Sylvia, man.
Yeah, that's fair. But, I actually wanted to ask you guys a quick question. Who do you think is gonna win in the Godzilla versus Kong?
Well,
I think you should go first, and then I'll go, and we'll go around the room.
Okay. Well, I mean, personally, what is King Kong really besides just a giant gorilla? So you gotta really take that into account, you know?
Thank you.
Like, Godzilla is a radioactive monster who can shoot lasers out of his mouth. Like, there's literally no concept. If brute strength doesn't kill King Kong, the radiation poisoning will.
True that, unless he himself has radiation. Maybe he's like the Hulk, and he's made of part radiation.
But then, like, after he's angry, he just turns into like a really small dude.
He's the opposite of the Hulk. He turns into a dude instead.
Yeah.
He's like a chimpanzee or something.
Yeah.
Turns into like a capuchin or whatever the hell those monkeys are called.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell by my reaction, I am also firmly in the Godzilla camp. I don't think King Kong ain't got nothing on Godzilla. Let me just tell you that.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dare you. I dare you to say
I just want to say something before I voice my opinion. that I thought was interesting. I didn't know this because I haven't seen Skull Island yet, but I really want to watch it. Apparently, everyone was like, why is Godzilla why is King Kong so big? And it's because apparently he was like 17 years old in Skull Island or something like that. And that's why he was so much smaller looking. And now he's like a fully grown, like, Godzilla race monkey thing. And that's why he's the size of Godzilla now, which is kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, I remember that being one of the things that my dad mentioned when he was like, I don't know how they're going to do that because, King Kong is so much smaller compared to, how large Godzilla typically is. But I mean, if they have, that's a perfectly fine explanation. And it kind of actually retroactively makes his size in Skull Island, his solo film, and like the directorial freedom they must have had because of that actually makes it a lot stronger. It must have been like, phew, thank God we set that movie in the 70s.
Yeah, right, honestly though.
Yeah. But yeah, I like King Kong way better, to be honest.
How fucking
do
dare
you like him better, or do you think he would actually win in a fight?
He'll beat his ass. Are you kidding me? He's got nothing on him. He's gonna jump on him, punch him in the face, and Godzilla's frail body, have an ass, is gonna fall on the ground.
Right, I'm gonna let Matt say his piece first about who he thinks, and then we're all gonna discuss this and why I think you were absolutely wrong.
So
just like the Keurig. Okay.
Don't bring that up.
Going on
that's from another timeline. That's a timeline that's not canon anymore.
Multiverse of madness.
Should we upload 2 different episodes on the same day? One that's like Oh, that'd actually be a great idea. But no, we'll save that. We'll save that idea for another time. Um, so with me and these two characters, it kind of comes down to two different ideas. One, there's like, taking into consideration the lore of the characters, and like, I didn't like Godzilla 2014, and I didn't see King of the Monsters, but I have seen Shin Godzilla, and that's a different version. So it's like, oh well, that version it doesn't have all the same abilities as this version. I do think that Godzilla is typically a more compelling and interesting character when you consider how he exists in his stories as a force of nature and what he symbolizes, especially through the lens of Japanese history. That type of shit just kind of appeals to me a lot. But
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah, but if I consider it based on the quality of the movies so far, like I didn't like Godzilla 2014. But I did
I don't
like Kong
remember if
Skull
I liked
Island.
it.
It might be worth rewatching. So, like, honestly, I'm kind of torn in terms of just the how interesting the characters are. I would probably go Godzilla. In terms of like uh, my enjoyment and my faith in them being able to make a compelling film with those characters, I don't know. I feel like I might end up being more interested in the parts with King Kong, because those are the ones where like Godzilla is that force of nature that's symbolic of and kind of uh, plays along well with other characters, like standalone stories, whereas King Kong often in his stories directly interacts with and is a part of these characters' journeys, because there's usually a woman or a child or someone that builds a connection with King Kong that's like amicable, and it's like a oh how sweet type of thing. So
Yeah.
you know what, just for the sake of argument, I'm gonna say King Kong, which completely goes against
All right.
goes against my Twitter handle, but because my Twitter handle currently is Matthew Lundeen # Team Godzilla.
You defecting bastard.
But for the sake of argument, and because I don't really care that much about the debate, I'm gonna say King Kong.
There we go. On the
Come
right
on,
side.
come at us. Tell us why we're wrong. Please do.
Well, my thought is that, like literally, like as a genuine question, what the fuck can King Kong even do against Godzilla? Like a genuine question, you guys.
A 2-piece and a soda, my guy. Jesus.
So, but punches do fucking nothing against Godzilla.
He's King Kong.
But I know, but
That's
he
not
literally
an argument, Frank.
he fought fucking, what was that other one? Giordia, whatever that, Gordita Crunch, whatever the fuck that
King, I think it's King Ghidorah.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
Or
Well,
And he
Ghidorah.
literally, like he literally can't get hurt by anything, but like from what I know, literally just like
maybe his weakness is gorilla fists, my guy. You don't know that.
Maybe his weakness is blunt force trauma.
Yes.
He's got like some childhood trauma. That was a bad joke.
I've got something.
Some green rock.
Well, hey, you know what? You're not that far off, because in the trailer, did
Godzilla
you see
with
that?
prep time, you son of a bitch.
You mean King Kong?
Technically,
with prep time?
Oh, excuse me, King Kong with prep time.
Technically, yeah, because in the trailer you see he's got like an axe of some kind when he jumps through the air, jumps through the air, and so
a radioactive axe.
But unless the axe,
wait, he has an axe. What?
In the trailer,
yeah, he has like
look
a
at the trailer.
axe that like bounced his beams or some shit, like stopped his beam and he smacked him. In the, did you guys not watch? Oh, Jesus.
I did. Oh, hell yeah.
So
you do know the movie you're talking about, right?
I understand that, but at the same time, like, as far as I know in the past, the only thing that has ever harmed Godzilla is like a fucking like specialized nuke that specifically targeted his genes or some shit. Like, I don't think anything Kong's gonna do can literally. I just don't see it harming him.
Sorry,
but you didn't let me finish though. What do you think that axe? What do you think that axe is made of?
I don't know. What do you think it's going to be, like his spike? Is that what's going to be, like a spike?
That's exactly what I was going to, because people are speculating that it might be one of his scales from like his like spine, and then he's going to use that as an axe to try and kill Godzilla.
Okay, but
I think it is.
If you were to take off the plot armor, Godzilla would just fucking beam his ass into the next century. Okay,
this is the same argument as Superman v Batman.
It truly is. Except for
Batman wins every time.
Except Batman is known to be bullshit anyways, and has his own whatever thing that he always wins with prep time bullshit. Whatever. King Kong does not have that type of plot armor. All right.
What do you mean?
But I'm saying that. But if he has that weapon,
the last time we saw him, he was 17. He's a grown man now. You don't know he's gonna travel the world, and
I don't care. A monkey versus
because he's a monkey. You think? Oh wow! So lizards are better than monkeys?
Yes, a giant lizard that can shoot radioactive lasers is fucking more powerful than a giant monkey.
But Michael,
that's it.
Are you telling me, Frank, in the time between Kong Skull Island and this, he traveled the world, learned fucking nuclear physics to specifically fight Godzilla?
Well, to be fair, Colin, Kong Skull Island, it's proven, it's demonstrated that island isn't just filled with Kong. Like, it's filled with tons, an entire ecosystem of horrifying monstrosities. He's basically constantly training, fighting new monsters of various different types and in various different parts of like
Goku who can blow up a planet after fighting 5 dudes.
But that's not also. But Godzilla can't blow up a planet either.
King Kai. No. This is what happens in the 17 years or however long that is. I don't know why I said 17 years. Oh, because we were talking about Star Wars earlier. In the time between the 2 movies, King Kong went and trained with King Kai.
King Kong, it's just Bubbles from King Kai's world.
Yes. It all links up.
King Kai, coincidence?
Oh,
nah.
King Kai, King Kong. Ooh.
But again, I think you guys are ignoring the most important point, where it's like, yeah, maybe like on his own, Kong can't do much, but that's why he gets an axe of a material that is strong enough to probably pierce through like Godzilla's flesh. So I think that's going to be what gives him the advantage. That, and also he's a bit more dexterous than Godzilla.
Yeah, apparently the blade is one of Godzilla's dorsal fin.
And I'm not saying this is like a way of like, oh, this is why King Kong is going to win. I'm saying like this is the math that the filmmakers probably did in their head in terms of like, we've got to give him something to even the odds, because I guarantee you at some point, whether it's in the next trailer or just if they don't show in the trailer, it just happens. I feel like, Godzilla will get punched a bunch. He'll get like fucked up, quote unquote. And then Godzilla does something. And it's like, well, I mean, those punches ain't doing shit, clearly. And then has to later, find something that can help him. He goes through the Rocky training montage. He builds his axe, and then he goes and fights Godzilla again. But I mean, this is just what I'm saying could be used as the method of balancing and equalizing the two of them.
When Godzilla fought,
piece him up.
When Godzilla fought Ghirardelli chocolate. That motherfucker is like a 3-headed giant fucking dragon thing that like shoots electricity.
Okay.
And he won.
Okay.
As far as I know, he won.
Okay, good.
Cool, bro.
How the fuck?
Are you aware? Wait. Are you aware that there are like I'm just reading this now. I'm not like a history buff on this topic, but apparently there was a Titan war between like different versions of their races, apparently, like the Godzilla people and the Kong people fought or some shit.
I mean, I know that there's lore that's introduced in King of the Monsters and stuff. So I mean, if this is if you're reading this
so
off
maybe
of,
he
like,
got one of the scale. Maybe the scale was on the island with him, maybe, or something like that.
well, because in the trailer they do mention that there was a war, and so if there was any type of detritus from that war, he probably is going to try to use it to, create weapons of some kind. I mean, I'm just saying, and maybe it's just because of
Prep time, baby.
Just because of the monkey thing. I mean, you could argue that Khan might be a bit more intelligent, might be able to think on his feet a bit more. Like that's like this is, yes, there is the sheer strength of Godzilla, but then he is a force of nature. But you also have to consider like what something more akin to the a gargantuan, a more relatable perhaps beast might, more relatable to humans might be able to do with, clever thinking.
That's a good point, Matt, because I was actually going to say, I didn't know about the axe thing until you told me about that just now, but that means King Kong species has reached the level of Stone Age humans, and Stone Age humans had fucking wiped out the mammoths by themselves. So, I could see the logic saying that King Kong could win by his wits because of the point he can reach of making an axe. Arguably, but Godzilla still has lasers.
That's true. I mean, but he can clearly block them. But he can block them with that axe.
Yes, as we've seen in the trailer. Cut his head off.
And he can also dodge them.
So from what I understand about Godzilla, at least other versions, I don't know if that's the same with this, that he does have a decent amount of intelligence. Like he can think strategically and stuff like that as well. Is that the same in this, or am I thinking incorrectly?
Are you talking about Godzilla or King Kong?
Yes, Godzilla.
Okay, Godzilla. I mean, he's not dumb.
Just kind of swims around and does stuff. Fights monsters.
So that would mean that he has like the thought of a shark.
Can I just say? Can I just say that he looks so cool when he swims in the water, like that big like rocky fins of his. He's just in the water, and all the boats are around him. It's like, oh shit, here he comes.
Here's the thing. If any creature that is cognizant enough to make a conscious choice to be like, these humans are all right, is probably pretty smart. Just to make the choice to be like, no, humans are good. I'll go back into the ocean now. The movie's over.
Me is tired. Time to go back to water. Leave tiny humans alone. Goes back underwater.
Exactly.
Big monkey thing must kill.
If he's smart enough to know that, then hypothetically he's smart enough to know that his axe would kill him. So he should. I feel like all that Kong has is just.
Kong is gonna stick the scale in between his hand like brass knuckles and just punch him to death.
I don't know. Here's the thing, though.
I'll be honest, Michael. They're kind of swaying me into saying that.
How fucking dare you?
Well, also, Michael, what you said just now about like he's smart enough to know about his axe, but it's like, if somebody points a gun at me, it's not like I can be like, ha, I'm aware of your technology. Your bullets have no effect.
This is true, but at the same time, if you took out a knife to try to stop the bullets, how the fuck would that work?
What? Oh, because he's got late. But again, we've already proven that he can block the lasers.
Yeah, but what if the knife can block? Yeah, it can block the bullets.
And technically, yes, it can. But at the same time, how do you what if Godzilla just sneaks a laser in? Huh? What if he's not always charging his laser?
Michael, just take the L, my man.
No, I refuse. Godzilla would fucking destroy King Kong. I don't care.
No, he would not.
Yes, he would.
But what if I take out my knife, and what if I've been trained by what if I've been trained by the master Seijiro Hiko from Rurouni Kenshin, and he fires the bullet, and I just cut the bullet in twain, then it's like, oh, get fucked.
Michael, what's gonna happen?
Realistically, right? The fact that
realistically, my guy, we're talking about a massive lizard and a monkey fighting. Get the fuck out of here! Godzilla takes the dub, bro.
The fact? Yeah, you're right. Godzilla does take the dub.
Oh,
Thank you.
I keep saying the wrong name.
They're very. It's a tongue
that
twister.
They have to pull the same thing they pulled in Batman vs Superman, where they're like, "Here, his only weakness. We have to give it to this other person." Means that the other one would win in a normal fight.
He earns it, my guy. Because he's so smart, he gets it.
You know, Michael.
Nope, I refuse.
I'm saying I gotta betray you on this one purely because I will agree intelligence probably outwins brute strength most of the time. Except the difference between this and Batman v Superman is that this is a realistic form of intelligence. Batman's is bullshit.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know.
How do you know it's real? How would it be a realistic form of intelligence unless
because humans wiped out countless species?
I understand that.
In the Stone Age.
We haven't watched the movie yet. But how is he gonna know? He's just gonna look at his spike randomly and be like, "That's the weapon I have to use."
Oh no, that's not what happens, Michael. He's gonna get he gets kidnapped and taken off his island by whatever that company is called. What is that? What is the evil company in the movie called?
Oh, I don't remember what it's called.
Hold on.
I have fucking no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was an evil company. Again, I haven't watched any of these. I'm just going off of what I have.
And for the record, Colin, not to turn this into a side tangent, but I mean, traveling around the world Monarch. Yeah, that's the organization. I mean, traveling around the world and learning from the best monks and martial artists, detectives, and scientists. And poets of around the world and learning every language. I mean, Batman, he went around the world. He left Gotham for a long time to go on his Goku journey.
But at a certain point, fucking information replaces information. You cannot possibly remember all that shit.
Well, yeah, but that's why he's a larger than life hero. That's why he's a superhero. So I mean, I suppose in a sense you are somewhat correct, but I mean, God, King Kong is also a very larger than life hero. I had something to Michael's point, but oh yeah, well, Michael, think about it this way. Some of the best stories of an underdog hero, and if we're really gonna stretch it to say that King Kong is an underdog, those stories, there are tons of stories where the hero has to use some kind of weapon as the weakness to a stronger opponent, but it's that doesn't necessarily mean that they are, I mean maybe they are weaker, but it's their cleverness, it's their ingenuity that allows them to overcome something that is, inhumanly strong. This is shonen shit. This should be right up your alley.
This is true, but I'm more just talking about
Nah, my guy Monarch is gonna give it to him. Monarch, they're gonna capture him and be like, "Fight Godzilla for us," and give him the weapon.
See, I feel like it's more he's gonna find
those cheeks.
See, I feel like it's more gonna be him finding the site of some previous battle on some other island, or because in the trailer, you see him kind of reach his hand and it matches a handprint that's on a wall, so he'll probably learn it through cave paintings or some shit like that. Learn and then find the piece he needs and then tie that thing to some big old fucking tree branch and just get ready to rumble, or a bone or some kind.
Cool. I don't know. I still feel like that would work. Well, even then, even if you're talking about that too, then what would the handle be made out of? Because then his laser would just fucking destroy that.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, maybe
Godzilla's not that smart, my guy. He would just
I'm just saying
at King Kong.
You would think that just because he's shooting the blade, the amount of pressure against it, if it's just a tree branch, that shit's gonna snap.
Well, that's why I said it might be a
Skull
bone.
Island tree. It could be a bone of
another powerful titan.
I suppose. I guess you guys are correct.
It's gonna be like an anime where
I'm gonna completely I've just been fucking with Michael at this point. I mean, Godzilla is clearly the overpowered one, like Superman, but
yeah, no, I honestly think he is the overpowered one, but you are correct in that. I guess. Well, that's the thing.
I didn't know he had an axe.
I don't know the level of.
That's whooped.
Yeah, true. I don't know the level of King Kong's intelligence. So if he truly is that intelligent to be this
He does have a
scale
big
is
brain,
that.
my guy. He has quite a large noggin.
Actually, big brains are scientifically proven to actually be less intelligent than small brains.
Really?
I
So
think so.
saying,
I don't remember.
oh
actually.
wait. Has anyone read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe or whatever that book was?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've watched the movie. I've not read the book.
Oh, okay. Because in the book, at the end of it, spoilers, that like it ends up that mice were running like an experiment. I don't know. We were just gonna make a joke how they have tiny brains, and that led to that book. But please proceed.
All right, I lied. Actually, big brains are better, but only slightly. It says but not by much from what Google says.
Wait, what did you type in?
No, I just looked up "Are big brains better?"
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Oh shit!
That's
I'm
right.
sorry. I had to learn things today.
So
What
King
time we at,
Kong-
Matt?
Basically, King
Let me
Kong
look.
take this win. No, they're gonna
No,
team up. They're gonna fight the robot Godzilla, and then they're gonna defeat him. They're gonna become best friends. I'm actually curious. I wonder if this is the finale of this quote unquote monsterverse, or if it is gonna lead into other movies.
I
It'll probably lead into
believe-
other movies.
Yeah, because I believe
there's
that there was a
all these different
cliffhanger.
Godzillas,
I haven't seen King of the Monsters, but I believe there was some sort of cliffhanger if YouTube suggestions is anything to go off of. So I think that there's definitely, there's definitely some more things that they could do.
They're basically taking what DC was trying to do, but executing it better.
It's not hard.
Probably.
All right.
Yeah, they're.
I think we should go to a break.
Before
Okay.
that, Matt, let me pose a question to y'all.
Okay.
Do you think a man-made machine could beat these two monsters or not?
No.
I think that it could definitely lead to a very tense and interesting battle, but ultimately no.
Actually, it depends, because I think that what this Godzilla thing is made out of is that monster he fought in the last movie, the three-headed thing.
Actually,
I
it would
think
depend.
he's made from them or something like
I have fucking no idea.
Gordilla Crunch or whatever the
Yeah,
hell.
cheesy
is it.
gordita crunch.
We're gonna have like our 8 fans are all like hardcore like MonsterVerse fans, and
They're
like,
"How fucking
yeah,
dare you."
never again.
I actually do. So when you say that, Colin, do you mean like man-made, like they have unlimited resources to do whatever the fuck they need to do, or are you saying like in current times now?
Like slightly future times, but they still have limited resources.
Sure. Probably not, because I don't think we'd be at that level yet.
Right.
Well, I don't. No, probably not. At least not to compare to like Godzilla and shit, because you'd really need specific kind of weaponry.
Right.
But at the same time, if it was like the entire world like teaming up against them, I think they would. Because if you're saying that Kong is going to win against Godzilla because of his intelligence and the weapon he can make, because he understands Godzilla's like anatomy, then obviously man is just that much more intelligent. So, I mean, you could make that argument.
I actually have a argument to add against my boy King Kong.
Oh
You
shit!
guys might find interesting, because I'm interested by this. I've been reading some stuff. So there's the quote unquote mysterious Titan War, right? Where Godzillas and Kongs or something fought maybe other big creatures.
Mhm.
So King Kong could not have fought in the war because he's only whatever, he's from the 70s or whatever. He was an adolescent then. But Godzilla is super old and could have fought the big monkey people before, so he might have the edge of experience fighting his race.
Oh shit! That could be the whole reason why he's fighting Kong too. Maybe he's like, my arch enemy returns.
Yeah,
Back
right.
in the Titan War.
Well, because apparently there was a prequel comic about another Kong race, and I think there's like 3 that have been on Earth or something like that.
Oh.
I don't know. It actually, this seems like a very interesting universe to get into.
Damn, fuck DC and Marvel. Let's get into the monster first, guys.
MonsterVerse. Hey.
Oh man, you guys remember when the Dark Universe was going to be a thing?
I was just about to
What
bring
is
that
that?
up.
Yeah, what the fuck is the Dark Universe?
The Dark Universe. The Dark Universe is the Universal Pictures monsters universe with like stuff like Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, the Mummy, all those things. So we got the Tom Cruise Mummy, and then that was it. It killed the universe, because it was going to be Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man. It was going to be who's something Crowe. What's that actor? The guy from Gladiator, Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll. It was going to be Javier Bardem as the Wolfman, and then it just nothing ever came of it. Instead, we got that new Invisible Man movie that was really good, and then what was going to be the Dark Universe just ended up failing miserably.
Bro, they can start a dark like technology universe off of the new Invisible Man. I'd be down for that.
Oh, what's that one about? I haven't heard of that one.
Basically like an abusive husband, but he is like extremely like intelligent and has like a really successful ocular like company or some shit.
Bro, chill. Don't spoil the movie.
What? It's an old ass movie. What do you mean?
Well, it's not old ass. It's like a year old. But
it's like 2 years ago. Is it really? Oh shit! I'm sorry.
That was directed by the same guy who directed Upgrade, and you can kind of tell because when there is action scenes, it's directed similarly with like the camera following body movement and stuff.
Point is, ocular guy, he makes a suit, makes him invisible.
There he goes. There he goes. We tried to stop him. He went right ahead and spoiled it.
I mean, isn't that the main part? Like, that was in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, but in the trailers, they whatever.
Just straight up ruined the movie.
I mean, there's still good shit in the movie, so go nuts. You'll enjoy it.
The Mummy, starring critically acclaimed actor Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. Hell yeah, they should have started it from there with Dwayne the Rock Johnson as the Scorpion King.
I'm so glad that Brendan Fraser is. I'm so glad that he's doing stuff again. I'm so glad that yeah, because he's in Doom Patrol. Yeah, he's been doing really good.
Is that? Oh, did you say that show was good?
I've heard great things about it. I've heard like compared to like shit like Titans, which is like it's like here's the thing. This is how the universe balances out. We get Titans, but then in the same universe we also get Doom Patrol.
Have you ever watched Titans?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried it while I had HBO Max.
Yeah, I watched a few episodes and I didn't think it was as bad as everyone said it did, to be honest.
It gets worse.
It gets worse.
Shall we go to a break?
Yeah, that's a perfect time for the break.
Yeah. All right. When we get back, do we want to move right into our discussion about Netflix?
Hell yeah, homie.
Because there's a particular thing that's coming out, and we're going to touch on that briefly because I don't know
about kaiju.
Yeah, it also happens to be about kaiju. Yeah, and then we're going to talk about some other things related to Netflix. So stick around.
Matt, what's wrong?
Oh God, Colin, I had a terrible nightmare that our critically acclaimed podcast, The Critical Spectrum, wasn't getting any listeners.
Matthew, that would never happen.
How can you be so sure?
Because, you silly goose, we're using Anchor. Anchor is a free podcast publishing service with tools to create, upload, and edit your own podcast from your computer, phone, or tablet. You want to know the best part? It will publish your episodes on all major podcast sites, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
Yeah, I know that. We host a show together, dude.
And that's not all, my dear Matthew. You can make money using Anchor with no minimum listenership required.
Hey, come to think of it, what are you doing in my house?
Oh, I'm robbing you.
What? Hey, get back here!
Oh, shit!
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And welcome back to The Critical Spectrum. Now, keeping in line with the theme of giant monsters,
kaiju.
Yes, that is what they're called in Japan. One of my favorite giant monster movies is Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. I absolutely loved it. I think that even despite how cheesy the film can be, I think that it is a true like it is what a mecha anime like is at its core, but created as a Hollywood film. And I think that there is a heart and creativity there that I just eat right up.
Is the second one as good as the first one?
See, I never saw it because Del
Me either.
Toro wasn't attached, and from what I'd seen, I just didn't quite. I don't know. Something about it felt not genuine to me. I'm gonna watch it at some point to kind of see if I'm wrong about it. But
It felt more like Atlantic Rim.
sure, yeah, that's probably honestly, if I was to make some kind of snarky review of it, I'd probably call it that.
Perfect. You're welcome.
So now they've announced a new animated series. It's not an animated movie. It is an animated series called Pacific Rim: The Black, and it is about these two siblings who discover. If you don't know the lore of Pacific Rim, they have these giant robots called Jaegers, and they fight kaiju, which is just the generic Japanese term for giant monster. Because in the first film there was a portal that opened in the middle of the Pacific Ocean at the bottom, and monsters came through from another dimension. And then I think somehow the same thing happened in the second film, and now it's happened again in the third in this new series.
I've never seen the movies. I just know what they're about and stuff like that. I didn't know that they came out of a portal in the ground in the ocean.
Cool. Yeah. It was very.
I like that idea.
The Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, the Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So they released a new trailer for it, and I think it's. I don't know how to feel because I love Pacific Rim. It's one of those things where it's like I felt like it should have gotten more sequels, but like I wanted more sequels from Del Toro himself. But as an artist, I kind of feel like he's the type of guy who doesn't tie himself down to a brand. He just goes and makes just more art. So
and
I guess it kind of makes
picks
sense.
Up after him.
Yeah, and I just wish the people who picked up after him had the same, maybe like had the same feelings of love for it that he did, or had a similar touch. And so I don't know how to feel about this, animated series yet. I'm probably going to watch it. It's another CG animated show, which is something that Netflix does quite frequently with like its new animated properties, or specifically its new anime projects. I don't know who's produced it. Usually I'm on top of things when it comes to researching production details, especially when it comes to animation, but I really dropped the ball this week. But I will say that
Matt, get your head in the game.
I know I'm a failure. But the animation does look pretty nice. Sorry, what was that, Colin?
Produced by Legendary Television.
Oh, okay. So that's just that doesn't. Man, I feel like they might have outsourced it possibly, but I don't know. It depends on whatever if Legendary is part of a larger company that has access to an animation studio. Because it doesn't quite look like. It does have kind of like a Western feel to its look, and how the characters animate. So, I'd say it looks pleasing enough. I think
it reminds me of Star Wars Resistance animation, to be honest.
Yeah, or the Dragon Prince.
Yeah, I'd compare it more to Dragon Prince. I'd say it's maybe a little bit better looking than Resistance. That Star Wars show, that one, I really did not like the look of that. But
yeah,
I have a question. The question that I'm leading to with this whole Pacific Rim thing, because I just don't know how to feel. Do you feel like how good do you think like Netflix originals? Like when you hear that, like what do you tend to think? Is it like do you think positively of it, or do you kind of feel like more down about it?
I feel like it failed. Everything fails.
No, I wouldn't say everything. I feel like it depends, because I feel like if it's something like one of those stupid like teenager shows, like what I can't even name it, but
like All the Boys I Ever loved, or Tall, The Boys I Ever Loved, or The Kissing
Yeah.
Booth, or those
Yeah,
types of things.
I think those are gonna be awful, but I think that Netflix does do a decent. I'm trying to think. Netflix does a decent job with some of their stuff. I mean, how does that work? Is there like, is it just people at Netflix totally making it, or is Netflix bought this like thing?
They're usually making it, or it could be that like they heard an idea, bought it, and then they're making it, something like that.
Okay.
So what I can do, I can tell you kind of as an anime fan, I can kind of give you an idea of how they do it for animation at least. And what they do is they tend to basically just try to get into every type of bidding situation when a new show comes into picture. So like if there's a new anime, they will pretty much try to license anything that I think fits with their brand, or anything that fits with like the Netflix feel of what, their selection of anime is, which really means that like they'll get whatever's the most popular thing they can get a license for, even if it's on other platforms, like Full Metal Alchemist, like Demon Slayer, like SAO. They'll also, they will license and help produce CGI anime from studios like Orange or Polygon Pictures, which, have kind of pushed, the implementation of 3D and anime to new heights. Or they might try and capture and put money into shows or films that have a Western appeal. Either maybe it's a drama that kind of looks or has a similar feel or similar crossover audience with like, the American awards season fair for films. Or maybe they have very marketable elements within the sci-fi or fantasy genres. So with Netflix, I feel like sometimes they directly put money into producing a show, like, the Netflix Marvel stuff, or Altered Carbon, for example. But other times, I think they just kind of win the bidding war when it comes to like, all right, hey, this person wants to make their cool movie. Here's the money for it.
Personally, sorry, do you mind if I go real quick, Colin? Okay. Personally, I feel like my issue with Netflix originals is that they'll fail once and then they'll just give up completely. Like they'll literally just be like, "Oh, what a beautiful first season." Second season comes out. Oh, that didn't do very good. Okay, we're just going to cancel the entire thing.
That's what happened.
They literally have exactly. And if you think about it, like when I think Netflix originals, I can maybe think of 3 good shows out of like maybe like 50 that they've made. Stranger Things. Stranger Things. Yeah. I think Ozark is from them, right?
Yeah.
Narcos is a good show.
Narcos is from them. Okay, I didn't know that.
Academy, great show.
I haven't watched this. I guess that's part of it too, is that I haven't watched many of them, but a lot of what I've heard is like maximum. I might have heard maybe, let's say I even heard of 10 good shows. They have way more than that they're putting out, and I have never. I've heard more failures than I've heard successes from them. And anything that is like slightly successful, or not even slightly successful, anything that's really successful, they'll put everything into. Like Stranger Things has like fucking 4 or 5 seasons, and anything that's like slightly not as successful as something like that, they'll just like give it maybe 2 seasons and then just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, get rid of it.
I mean, they have a decent amount of Netflix originals. Like, I'm pretty sure the Umbrella Academy is one. Like, Ozark is another one.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have a lot of Netflix
Hill
originals.
House is a good one.
Right. No, they have a lot of Netflix originals. I'm just saying not all of them succeed, and when they don't succeed at whatever they think it should succeed as, they just get rid of it.
Yeah, that's.
Do you think that they put the standard too high for some of their originals? Like,
well, the thing is, I don't even think they do standards. I think they're more of like they try to make something that they think is going to be good. It might even be good to some people. Like they might think, "Oh, this is really good," but to the majority of people are just like, "Yeah, that doesn't really interest me as much." And because it just doesn't interest them, they just get rid of it. They're not in it to make something specifically like captivating, I guess. They're more of into something to be like, okay, what is going to give us the numbers for people to come and subscribe to us? That's like their main goal, which I understand in business sense, but overall, I feel like there's some things that are good that are just like, why are you getting rid of that?
It's an interesting point because in terms of Netflix, when they first started doing originals, I felt like a lot of them were pretty bad, but I felt that was only because they were literally just taking ideas that no one else would take, literally just to get their own stuff out there in the first place. I feel like they're still kind of in the mentality of just taking ideas no one else is going to take. But at the same time, when they hit the mother load with Stranger Things, they kind of milk it, because personally, I think Stranger Things should have ended after season 3.
Mm.
I haven't watched all of it, so I can't really.
I haven't watched past season 1.
I have. I could agree with that, Colin, but yeah.
I think that
there's no way they would do that.
I think it comes in waves, like with Netflix, like it started and they had stuff like House of Cards, which is like, oh man, that glorious period in history where we didn't know how creepy Kevin Spacey was. And then it's like, all right, so we got a bunch of seasons of this, and then they get, some other like originals approved, and I think like then we get Stranger Things. I think the moment that I started noticing the narrative turning from like, wow, look at all these cool Netflix originals, to wow, Netflix has a lot of trash, was around the time that they had the Cloverfield paradox. Like everyone was like everybody like suddenly gave a shit about Cloverfield again for 2 seconds, and then they all watched the Cloverfield paradox, and everyone was like, oh, this movie wasn't the best. And then suddenly it felt like,
and then you
everyone
got Death Note.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorite shows is a Netflix original. It's called BoJack Horseman. I really liked that show. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I guess
that is a good show.
That is.
I've heard
You've seen it, Matt?
I've heard good things. I've heard it's also like it is. I've heard that it's a good show, but I also know that it is a show that deals with some heavy shit. When it comes to like,
and it has like a really funny animation style too. It's a really good show. I think it's one of the better ones.
And then they have shit like Big Mouth.
I knew you were gonna say that. They're actually making this cool. They're adapting this. Do you guys know who Neil Gaiman and Neil Gaiman? He's a
the Sandman, right? They're adapting that.
Cool.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't know if you knew what the Sandman was. But apparently they're making a Sandman Netflix show, so hopefully that isn't shit. That'd be pretty awesome if they can make a cool TV show about that.
And that's the thing. Like for me, I feel like there are things where it's like it might be a good show. At least maybe I just think it's a good show. But like, let's say we watch the Sandman, we all love it, but like the majority of people don't like it. They're just gonna get rid of it. Like that's just how they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
and that's what bothers me.
Is
about
The
Netflix
Witcher any good? Are they making a season 2 for that?
They are, and that's also because it was like really widely received.
It was a very huge success, which is why the second season better also be really, popular, because if it isn't, I guarantee you they might end up canceling.
They're going to get rid of it. Yeah.
They're going to get rid of it, and that terrifies me.
The reason they're doing a season 2 of Witcher, I feel like, while season 1 was good, it wasn't like the best.
No, I'm not saying it was the best, but what I'm saying, like, to most viewers, it was good enough for them to keep watching, and that's what Netflix cares about.
But I feel like that's an interesting point, because with WandaVision, like going to Disney's business model, I feel like they're very similar in that they give up if it doesn't do well,
Who, Disney?
Like, yeah, I feel like
I don't think Disney Plus has been around long enough for that
to even know about that.
I don't think they've had their big. I mean, this will be the test of it, right? Like with the Marvel stuff, I think that's going to be a huge test of if that's the case. But as of right now, I don't think Disney Plus has had enough originals, and nor has it been around long enough for us to really know if it is going to go that same way.
Yeah. Because like so far, like people are like saying like they don't like WandaVision, but as far as I know, they're not going to just get rid of it.
No. I mean, then those people are trash anyway, and they have trash taste, so it's fine.
Thank you.
Preach it.
Oh,
the people in the back. Have you seen
the people in the back?
Matt, have you seen Seven Deadly Sins? That's another. That's a Netflix original.
That is not a Netflix original.
It's not. Well, so here technically it's one of those technicalities. It is a Netflix original because it is. Just let me explain. I know my shit. It is technically a Netflix original because they licensed it and got exclusivity with it.
Okay.
But like it's the same thing with like something like Violet Evergarden, which is an incredible show and you should all watch it. That's another example where that was a show that aired in Japan on Japanese television. Everybody in the community was like, "Oh man, I can't wait for Violet Evergarden. When the fuck is it coming out?" And it was like, "Oh, Netflix licensed it," which means
So
we need to wait for the show to
are we just
end.
considering anything they license as originals, or
Well, here's the thing: what their metric for a Netflix original is if they are the only person that has it. Like if
so
they're
wait, is
the
Seven
only,
Deadly Sins no longer on Crunchyroll?
I don't think it is.
Because it was in the beginning. That's how I watched it first.
They
That's
might
where I
have.
was
Hey,
thinking
let
it
me let me let
completely
me
was.
look it up. You can talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. I mean, at least I'm pretty sure that's how I watched it first, unless I watched it on some unsavory sites.
Probably watch it on Netflix, my guy.
No, I definitely did not because I stopped watching Seven Deadly Sins a long time ago before
I
Netflix
think.
even bought the
I
rights.
think. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're missing much because they changed studios and the production quality dropped
Oof,
dramatically.
that sucks.
Like I think Alex watched it and he said, like, man, it just feels like a completely different show now.
Oh, that sucks.
But I think you're right. I think it may have been on Crunchyroll, and then I think it in the interim between seasons 1 and whenever the continuation came out, I think they lost the license, and then Netflix gained the license, and that became technically an original now because they were the only
Okay.
ones that were, and because they were the ones that were putting money into it and supporting it and licensing it for their service. So
Right.
that's technically that's like another thing. Like I wrote about like Crunchyroll and how they're doing originals. It's not always that like they're like, oh yeah, we played a huge role in production. Sometimes it just means that put they just put some money into it, or it just is kind of co-funded by like an established like for instance with Crunchyroll originals, a lot of those just happen to be supported via the Crunchyroll SC fund, which is produced in collaboration with the Sumitomo Corporation. So it's like if that is part of it, like if that money is being used on that production committee, that is technically a Crunchyroll original because it's most likely not going to be on any other service.
I think that's a dumb definition. I don't like that.
But I mean, but here's the thing: like
I
that's only boring if you look into it. If there's a new show coming out and you see like, oh, what's this new show coming out? Oh, it's coming on Netflix, and no one else has it. I mean, technically, if you haven't looked into the minutia of everything, you're probably going to be like, oh, that's a cool Netflix original.
But I feel like that's doing a disservice to the original creators. Then, like, I feel like it should originally be like I wouldn't not. I feel like Netflix original means it is from Netflix. Like they created it. They actually were the ones who not thought of it, but at least they were the ones who produced it and did everything like that.
Right.
I feel like overall, just saying like, oh yeah, that's a Netflix original, even though it was created by a completely different studio in Japan. I feel like
whereas a different word, like if they used a different word,
yeah,
like
I don't
exclusive
like that either, Michael.
Yeah, Netflix exclusive sounds like more like okay, like it's just
Yeah.
only on Netflix. That makes sense.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that
if
when
you
it comes
Google
to
Netflix originals and when that comes up, because that's how I was reading it, that's kind of fucked up, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's pretty fucked. Unless maybe they did take over later on, and that's why the studio and that's why it's so trash now.
Oh.
No, I mean I don't think they're the ones that are producing it, the studio, but I mean it depends, right? Because it's to the degree. When it's stuff that's just like a seasonal show that just gets carried over, you're absolutely right. Like that's kind of like, well, that's kind of myopic. But if it's a matter of like they have an exclusivity deal with that animation studio, like at the beginning, like late 2020, there was a huge announcement of like a bunch of animation studios, Production IG, Sola Digital Arts, Studio Bones, a couple of others, that they had all made deals with Netflix to produce shows specifically for Netflix. So it's like when you like, I think in terms of the fewer barriers you put between the show and Netflix, the more sense it makes. But it's still it's still weird business speak.
In that makes more sense. Just if they specifically say like we are producing this specifically for Netflix, okay, that's a Netflix original. But it's something like Seven Deadly Sins that came out before the Netflix even, I should say before Netflix even had its own like deal with that or had that licensing. I do not consider that original.
And
like, that
that's that's a very rare instance. Like I don't think that's the only time I can think of where a show that had already been airing and was already being produced and distributed somewhere else becomes a Netflix original. Every other time, though, like whether it be Great Pretender, Violet Evergarden, Kakegurui, like every other time, it's been exclusively on Netflix from the get go, and that's how they defined it because they were the ones that put up the money for the localization.
Right. Well, even I don't know. Even then, that just feels weird. I mean, like, I guess like for the localization, putting that money up, that makes sense. But like, I feel like even then, like I'm sure like the studio bones, like they're probably like Netflix isn't going to be the one in their main country in Japan to be like, we are the ones who are publishing or whatever you want to call that.
Well, I mean, sometimes they are like because like
but if they are,
then
I understand that's original. Then that makes more sense.
Brand New Animal, that was a show where the first 6 episodes I think were available to watch all the same day to binge on Netflix in Japan, and then the rest of the final 6 episodes aired week by week after that. So like Netflix does have an anime presence, in Japan, and in fact they get it sooner because a lot of times, like I remember our friend Ben telling us about when he was in Germany and he was able to watch every new episode of Better Call Saul like week by week. But then when he came back to America, he couldn't because the way that American Netflix works, you have to like their statistics. They're like, well, clearly people love binging it. It's like, well, yeah, we don't have a choice. If there's an anime that has been airing week by week in Japan, I want to watch it week by week too. I don't want to wait until the end, give or take 2 or 3 months. Well, not even take. Just give 2 or 3 months before they've released it. Like I hate that shit.
Some people really like just binging it all the way through. I personally am a week by week guy. I would be fine with like watching it week by week.
If everybody in the world gets it at the same time to binge, that's fine. I love binging. But if somebody else has been getting it consistently for the past 3 months and I haven't been able to, like I mean I'm fine going to like, shady websites, but like if I can support a show legally, I'll try to support it legally. And like that's the thing. It's like that's why Netflix kind of screws up in my opinion, when it comes to anime, because they just their release schedule is just whack. But I just kind of feel like Netflix, and part of the bigger reason I wanted to bring this up is because I feel like Netflix has a very particular feel, and it's not like something you could like localize or like isolate, because it could be shows in completely different genres to completely different audiences. But do you ever like watch Netflix originals and get the sense where you're just like, yeah, this feels like a Netflix original? And unfortunately, that doesn't always come with a positive or a thumbs up. Like I feel like Netflix original has taken on a stigma. Do you guys feel that too?
Kind of. Well, like what I was saying, kind of part of Netflix original is what it means to me overall. Like some of them, I think of them like, yeah, that's really good. But a lot of it overall, I just think of like I can't even say what the word I was trying to fucking say.
Mediocre.
Yeah, but mediocrity, I guess is what I was trying to say.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say something in Japanese.
No, I wish. Like it's just more of they just want to make it good enough instead of just trying to make something like great. They're like, this just needs to be good enough so people will come and watch it.
I gotta agree with you on that one.
So where like it's just not trying to make something great. They're just trying to make something that'll just skate them by at the very least. That's what it feels like to me, because they're just trying to make it in such high volume and just fucking throw so much shit out there. And then when it doesn't succeed, they're like, okay, just fucking chop it off. We don't care. We're not really that attached to that idea. Just get rid of it. And
that brings me up to a point though, is that do you guys think this new Pacific Rim will be good? Because my only issue with it is for people who haven't watched the trailer, it basically opens up on a brother and sister team. Like the world's been overrun by kaiju, and they're like, oh, they're living on their own in like a wasteland. And then they find the giant robot Jaegers. One, do you think that's gonna work, and they're just gonna do the bare minimum? And are you guys? because I'm personally sick of the you're the last one alive, you gotta bring the Earth back kind of trope, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it could be good if they execute it right, but again, it's like I feel like they're just gonna just lay down with they're just gonna take the safe bet. They're just gonna be like, yeah, just you know, recycle things we've seen before and just make it in this universe and it'll be great. Like that's what they're gonna plan on doing.
Yeah,
That's what I feel like.
my biggest concern is that like you're right, Colin, like in the trailer everything is kind of destroyed because I think it's set in like Australia. I think I read the description that's where it's set.
Australia always gets the raw end of the stick with the wastelands.
Yeah. But and it's really just because they're cursed and blessed with beautiful locations that are just perfect for filming post-apocalyptic films and movies. But I really do feel like um that the thing that concerns me the most is the idea that that entire world that was established so beautifully in the first two films has been uprooted. It's just like, oh no, it's just a post-apocalypse now. Like I like to imagine that it's just that Australia is like what's happening there is just a small part of a larger world. Because in the first film, part of the thing that I like about mecha fiction, especially stuff set in Asia, is that it's always like humans have, they struggled and then, they recovered. They built their own weapons, their own defenses, and they basically created a new normal, which was unfortunately them having to deal with giant monsters. But at the same time, they build their giant walls and they build their super weapons to defend themselves. And it's like everything becomes like a cartoon, but it's a bit more nuanced than that because everything is treated so like matter of factly. And that's why stuff like Evangelion is so cool because it is depicting human strength through how how efficiently they can counter a threat that is so beyond them conceptually.
I feel like that is kind of an interesting thing that it does overall, is that it really tries to, like you said, like humans always come back to kind of like rise to the occasion, I guess, in a way. Like they always rise to it, and then they try to make it. They always create something that puts them back to a normal, like a societal normal. Like you could recognize the world. You're like, yeah, this is the world I live in. But they've also have these other things that are in place to keep these things that are not in our world at bay. So it's like I don't know how well that's going to translate into a post-apocalyptic version. I don't know. Especially now they're like, oh, there's small kaiju now, and there's this and that. Like they're introducing other ideas that I don't know. I feel like might be executed well enough, but might be terrible.
I'm going to make a bold statement. Oh, go on.
Oh, I was going to say an interesting point is because at the end of the trailer, it seems to be like a Jaeger kaiju. It seems like they're trying to pull sort of like a Attack on Titan sort of thing,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
I guess. Well, that's the thing. Is like, wait, are you saying Attack on Titan because Eren Yeager? Ha! Knee slap.
Well, not really, but that works on two levels. It makes me seem smarter than I am. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know. I feel like I feel like the trope that they're going for is just like a post-apocalyptic. They find the legendary weapon from old and normal times, and then they are going to be in it and doing stuff. I just feel like it might be good. It just depends on how much mech they're going for, I guess, because it seems like they're really not going to be in the mech that often. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, well, it depends on how much of those first episodes that they're showing in this trailer, how much of the grand scheme of things is being displayed. I'm going to make a bold statement though. I love Pacific Rim. I love that first movie so much. I watch it now and again, and I love the music. I just feel like it's a film that really speaks to me. I think that this series is going to be a very big test as to whether this can actually continue as a brand, if it can continue as a franchise, or if we should just leave it alone like we probably should have a long time ago. And you know what, the thing is, if it works then great, but if it fails then it's like that's just another thing, like it adds on to that stigma that like hey, do you have an idea and you don't want to actually take a risk on it? Come to Netflix.
And that's exactly how I feel about Netflix originals, honestly. And that's why I'm kind of scared about that Sandman one, because the idea of the Sandman and everything Frank has told me about it seems so interesting and just so like kind of wacky in a way of like only that comics can kind of be as. But you can obviously translate that into something if you're good enough with it. But I feel like again, Netflix is
it's written by like an acclaimed writer. It's back when comics were written by like really, really good writers. So it really is a really good story and it's a cool topic. I think.
Could you get closer to your mic, Frank?
I would say you're like really quiet.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My gain was down all the way for some reason.
It's fine.
I just said that it's written by a really good writer, so the story is really, really, really good. So I hope they don't mess it up.
Yeah, I'm hoping for good things as well.
But for
if
the
the
Pacific
Death Note
Rim,
movie, oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, believe it, Matt. I think it's gonna be a hit.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
All
I
right.
think it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna watch it. When does it come out?
Like March 3rd, I think. The release date is on the
There
trailer.
we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I mean, it's a really cool topic. The animation I'm kind of iffy on, but other than that, like robots versus monsters come out of a hole in the ground. Sign me up. Say less.
I feel like we need to watch the original Pacific Rim first, and then start watching that, and then
let's watch it together at some point.
I'm down.
That could be a culture corner segment.
Could be, yeah.
So the biggest reason I'm scared, just going back really quick for the Sandman, is I feel like Death Note is relatively close to real life, and they somehow fuck that up.
Yeah, but Death Note is a hard thing to make into one movie.
Well, yeah, I'll get it to make it into one movie. Yes.
4 seasons of a show into one movie,
but
and then you also have to like, I don't know how the Shinigami looked, but
It actually looks. Here, let me tell you, Willem Dafoe as Ryuk was the best part of that movie.
Oh, okay.
He was pretty cool.
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the movie and I haven't finished the show.
I just finished the anime this week.
Damn it, we should watch the movie together and see how terrible it is.
Yeah,
you know what's funny?
Like Dragon Ball.
There's another character in the movie who is a better representation of Light's character from the show than the actor that they got to play Light. It's actually kind of funny the way that they did it. Yeah.
What?
Oh man, it's like they were trying to do like they clearly wanted to portray that character in a faithful way, but they ended up making one of the supporting characters more faithful to Light's
Which character was that? Do you know which one it is?
There the main love interest in the Death Note movie is I don't remember her name, but she's basically the things that
or
I don't know what her name is in the live action film. I have no idea. Okay. Because I mean they took it to America, which actually
did they?
Well, yeah, because it's set the film is set in America, which is the least of the film's problems. The guy they've got to play Light, the guy they got to play L is actually pretty cool. He's actually I forget the actor's name. He was also in Knives Out. He was the detective, not Benoit Blanc, but like the actual police detective in that film. So yeah, I mean there was good actors in it. It's just that they didn't have a good script, and they didn't really. I don't think they understood enough what the original was and like what its appeal was. It wasn't just the death and gore. It was that chess game between Light and
mouse.
Exactly.
Oh, that's such a good show. I love it so much. That and Attack on Titan.
Same director.
No way.
Yeah, Tetsuro Araki.
That's my favorite anime director.
Yeah, and another show that he made. He also made the very ridiculous High School of the Dead.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
I didn't know that.
That man, I've heard him.
I'm 2 for 2. I'm 2 for 2 with this guy. Fuck it.
That has become a very different show.
A very different
yeah?
show, way more
Yes.
sexualized, but like he
Yes.
does it with such
Oh.
bravado. Like that's the thing about Tetsuya Araki.
Bravado?
He knows how to approach the source material and translate it into animation with the right teams and the right animators to make some truly cinematic shit that appeals to a wide audience. So,
True.
Interesting.
Attack on Titan, very much so. Death Note, one of the most well-known anime that you'll hear from, even amongst people who might not consider themselves anime fans. High School of the Dead as
did
well.
Demon Slayer.
That was Studio Ufotable, which is the same people who made the Fate series, specifically like Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero.
Well, Demon Slayer's just fucking beautiful, and I love it so far.
It's very good.
All right.
So do we want to wrap this up with, because we had two different directions we could have gone. Do we want to go first the spoiler topic, talking about this week's WandaVision?
Yeah, we'll just go for that.
It's
Alright.
a shorter one. It's probably best to go just there. And
So that's gonna wrap up. So like this will be a spoiler section. So if you don't want spoilers, then turn it off. See you next week. Well, thank you for listening. But otherwise,
go watch WandaVision. Damn.
And then come back.
do.
Then come back.
We know we said we weren't going to talk about every episode of WandaVision, but goddamn, it's good. We gotta
Honestly,
get it out
though, it's
there.
fucking good. I feel like every time I watch it, I'm like, fuck, I need to talk to somebody about this. So
I
like
know.
I like how we started this podcast making the joke of like, oh, we're gonna do the weekly Mandalorian segment. Oh no, it ended. And then like we had the perfect opportunity to do a weekly segment on WandaVision, and we had the nerve, the audacity to be like, oh guys, we promise we're not gonna do a weekly segment, even though that's like brilliant.
Obviously a fucking lie.
Yeah, clearly.
It's just because it's so good. Like
It's very good.
It honestly is. I mean,
I've loved it since the beginning. It's fucking been awesome.
Yes. I can somewhat understand where people are coming from if they really don't. No, wait, listen.
With them, Michael. No.
If they truly don't understand what they're trying to riff on, or like don't understand the actual like
magnitude of
source,
what is going on in the MCU right now.
I mean that too. Like if you just don't understand,
are being planted. Come on now.
Well, yeah, Frank and I were talking about like how like this WandaVision is actually like really weeding out the like really, really hardcore fans with some of the non-hardcore fans, I feel like. Because like
I agree.
Some of the very hardcore fans are gonna like they're just
casual. It's the casual fans, my guy.
True. The hardcore fans are just gonna I'm willing to bet most, if not all, hardcore fans are loving this show. And a lot of the casual fans are not, because they probably just first off don't really understand where they're going with it, or don't know too much about Scarlet Witch's powers in general. So they're like, what the fuck's going on? And second of all, I just think they just don't like how weird it's getting, because it is a little bit weirder than usual, because obviously Marvel's usually known for going a little bit more subdued with a lot of its stuff, and now it's kind of going more into the mysticism, which I personally just really love. I can't wait to go into fucking Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Dear God, it's gonna be beautiful. I don't know. I feel like personally I'm loving it, but I do understand where some people are coming from.
I noticed something the other day, because I was going back and watching a bunch of scenes from the other movies that Wanda was in. Specifically, I was watching Age of Ultron, when she was first introduced, and like her scenes with Hawkeye. And then I was also watching her in Civil War. And something I noticed is that as time went on, they kept progressively kind of having her... They never had her abandon her accent, but they kind of had her, sort of get a bit more... a blend of like something more of her, like the actress's normal speaking voice with hints of that accent, since she'd been spending all of her time with the Avengers. And I didn't notice it until I started watching these old clips that for so much of WandaVision so far, she's just been speaking in her normal voice. And I was wondering if that was going to be a permanent effect, like thing. But then this new episode, we see her come out and we see her in like her outfit, and she started talking. I was like, that's such a great attention to detail that like And it's like, one, I kind of think it's clever because it's like, oh yeah, they clearly are like, all right, we're not going to force you to use this accent all the time. but like, I don't know, something about that was just really, really clever to me.
Well, for me, it really drove home the whole like kind of separate worlds thing going on right now, like her separate realities. Like in her own bubble, she's like the perfect like American suburb family wife thing. And then when she comes out, she's more of herself again. And that really just kind of like that stark contrast of her character inside and outside of the little bubble hex thing, you want to call it. That really kind of drove that whole idea of her own reality home with me. Although I do want to say, I swear in Endgame, or at least Infinity War, I think she like completely got rid of that accent, but I might be incorrect in that.
I don't think Infinity War or Endgame she had an accent.
Well,
I was gonna say, I swear she got rid of it in that.
She did have an accent.
The accent isn't major, so it's not like you're missing a lot.
It just bothers me that if just pick one, like either stay with the accent or get fucking rid of it, and just say that she like being with Americans for so long, she got rid of it.
Well, she did have the accent in
WandaVision. She was going between them. She was talking like American accent, and then, if I'm not mistaken, she was like switching between them.
She kind of was. Some lines she sounded more American, and then some lines she sounded more like Sokovian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, oh, she's doing the accent, then it will go back to normal. I'm like, oh,
it's like a broken accent almost.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of cool. So they're kind of making it where now she's like upset and not caring what she sounds like, and maybe it's showing that her accent is broken, like you said.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe. What about that scene in the episode where they're like, FBI agent Jim's like, Wanda almost killed Thanos, or no, whatever her name is said that, and then the FBI agent's like, Captain Marvel, and she's like, we don't talk about that.
So that's
from an Infinity Stone, right? Shut up.
So that's what I'm excited for, because I love everything about Monica Rambeau so far. And cool. I think my favorite parts of Captain Marvel were those moments with Rambeau and her family. But like before the final confrontation of the film. And I think that what they're building up to, I think Monica has maybe some reservations, or maybe she has a bit of a grudge against Carol for leaving and kind of, helping the Skrulls and like not really being there on Earth when all this terrible shit happened. So I think that's correct. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. So I think what's going to happen is they're building up to whatever, Captain Marvel's like, maybe her attempt to kind of reconnect with humanity and Earth. And I think so. I'm so excited to see what they do with Monica Rambeau. I also feel like, remember when they're like, when she does the tests and they're like, well, that's weird. They're looking at like her chart, and it's like, we need to do these tests again. Something really weird is going on. I think exactly what I talked about way back when. I think it's happening. I think what Wanda did to Monica and like forcing her out may have given her some kind of superpowers, maybe, possibly.
Oh well, the X gene, maybe the X gene.
I was just about to say
I would hate that. I would honestly hate that. I mean, not hate it, but I'm not a huge fan of that.
Well, it doesn't have to be X gene, but it could be Captain Marvel powers.
Oh, it has to be some kind of powers. I'm pretty sure she's some form of a superhero.
Yeah, she's basically Captain Marvel 2.0 in the comic book. Her name is Photon. She turns into Photon.
Of course.
Awesome. Technically, she has other names, but Photon is her main name, and she basically does the same thing as Captain Marvel, like shooting beams and shit. Which would make sense because, if I'm not mistaken, the machine they were using, which I can't really think, but it's some kind of imaging unit that uses light. So if they're trying to take a picture of photons, which are just basically light, that would be blank. So I mean, that makes sense.
I actually want to bring up a quick point, actually, is that going a bit away from this point, but I love the attention to detail they put into the openings for each episode,
Yes.
Yeah, wait, what was this episode supposed to be? Is it supposed to be like Full House or what?
It's just like, no, I think last episode was Full House. I don't know what this one was parroting. All I know is the 80s, but the fact that they showed Vision as a baby Had me
Oh,
That,
Oh
that I was like,
yeah,
what
That's
the
like at
fuck
school
is
and stuff.
that? Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
that was
that
pretty
they
funny.
got me. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
but
I
we
mean,
need to talk about the. Oh no, go on.
no, go ahead. You can go ahead.
We need to talk about that ending because I was not
Yes.
expecting that, and for a moment I was almost a little bit sad that they didn't bring the actor back from
I
Age of
know.
Ultron.
Really?
Because
I thought.
know.
Okay. We'll explain to the audience real quick before we get into this. But essentially, they've been setting up, like they've been mentioning Quicksilver, Wanda's brother, for a few episodes now. At
Mhm.
the end of this episode, he shows up as Front Door, but it's not the actor from Age of Ultron. It's the actor who played him in the X-Men universe,
Yeah,
Yes.
which blew my
Which-
mind.
which
I
is
didn't
brilliant.
realize that until I looked it up about an hour later. I was like,
What?
what? Look, I
watched-
didn't watch most of
Oh,
the newer
I did.
X-Men.
He was such a good Quicksilver.
I didn't
Yeah.
watch most of the newer
So,
X-Men.
he was
to be
great.
fair.
to be fair, it should have ended after Days of Future Past, but which had him in it.
Yeah, no, that's
just
true.
because
I
it was
mean,
the
hey,
perfect
Michael
ending.
Fassbender and fucking
Yeah.
McAvoy as fucking Professor X and Magneto.
They're really
Yeah,
good.
that's
They were
I
pretty
mean,
good as
they're
young.
really
as
good. I
young
just
men.
feel like they kept reusing their same character arcs from First Class again and again. But
yes, you were definitely correct. They did do
but
that, but
with
I mean, I'm not saying they're all good movies. I just feel like they have some pretty good like X-Men-y
they do. They do.
vibes in it, and because they also like went a little bit more full-fledged into some of the mutant
Yeah.
things, and like had like Beast and all that come out too.
And also, Olivia Munn as Psylocke was actually pretty good. I don't think she gets enough credit for that.
So I don't know. I feel like they had really good things, but overall, you are correct. They were mostly bad.
I think
But I
that
personally think this Quicksilver was a better Quicksilver. But we
Yeah,
also
that's
obviously
true.
didn't have too much of the other actor as Quicksilver, seeing as
exactly.
he only lived through a movie. But
and so Colin, I agree. This is brilliant. I think this is a brilliant way of connecting, or at the very least, paying homage to the the other universe, using the idea that like, well, oh yeah, Pietro's dead, so her powers have to search through the multiverse to just pluck a
Right?
different Pietro, and that I think is brilliant. But the only reason I was kind of sad is because it's like I feel like that actor who played Pietro in Age of Ultron was pretty entertaining, and his death was tragic, and I think it was one of my favorite parts of the movie. But I think that I don't know. I just like I feel like he could have like gotten a better, like, if there was ever a chance to bring him back in some capacity. I kind of wish that they had brought him back now. Like,
Yeah, but like at least this is
Yeah.
a cool way to maybe introduce the X-Men property that
Yeah.
they just rebought.
again,
Well,
you're
I feel
yeah,
like
you're
after this
absolutely
point,
right.
because Quicksilver, at least in the other property, and people are going to associate this Quicksilver with that property.
That's a fair point.
He is a mutant. Like he is a mutant in that.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're gonna have to now do something with that.
Exactly.
They can't just be like, oh, like he's a human again. Like no, he's and even
Right.
then, in humans, never mind, that's a
and
whole
and
different
it's
thing, but still.
and again, it's so brilliant. I just kind of feel bad for that actor.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, I feel
No,
bad because
I agree.
yeah, I do feel bad, but overall, I am really excited because I really like this Quicksilver a lot from those movies personally.
Yeah.
I don't
Ha-
know. I have mixed feelings. Once they release a Spider-Man movie with all the different versions of like Doctor Octopus and the multiple Spider-Mans, it won't matter at that point. But
That's
I don't
true.
know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a little weird. You're like, oh, there's two Quicksilvers, but I mean, if they're gonna do this whole multiverse thing,
Like
then
that's
yeah.
this is probably the
Well-
best way to introduce the multiverse idea instead of just going full like balls deep. Like here's all these Spider-Man.
Well, I don't know if they're even gonna do like a multiverse, or at least not with the X-Men angle. I think they're not gonna do the whole multiverse angle. I think they're literally just gonna do like a universe merger type of deal.
I mean, that is in the comics where the universes do like merge, or like some of them like people like some heroes have to jump universes and shit like because the other one was
That's
getting
where I
destroyed.
think that's where Miles came from.
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, realistically, they could do that. What some people were saying is they think that Thanos' snap and everybody coming back might have introduced a mutation.
I can see that.
So that would have been kind of interesting. I still think my theory is still that Wanda is somehow, or maybe Wanda and Mephisto, if he is actually in this. Maybe
he's what's his name?
Ralph. Yeah,
He's
you were
Ralph.
saying you think he's
Mephisto is Ralph.
Also,
I mean, obviously, because we've never seen him.
Also, keep in mind the neighbor character who keeps showing up. Her character Agnes
Is a villain.
hold on. What's her last name? Do you know of the character from the comics?
No,
Frank?
I don't.
Because
No.
that character is the woman who she was actually, so originally in the comics she was the caretaker of Reed Richards and Sue Storm's son, and then she ended up joining the Avengers to train Wanda in how to use her powers. She was a witch, and so I'm very interested to see like what the reveal is of her character after,
Maybe she's not a villain.
because what I feel like is going to happen is that she might have been, either she is going to become or she has been, and before all this before the show happened, she was a witch who was maybe trying to help Wanda, but she couldn't, and then shit went south. Wanda did all this, and she's been trapped in the in Westview, because notice they never identified her.
And that's why she's always helping her.
Yeah, and she was never identified by the sword agents when they were identifying all of the other actors, quote unquote. They never got around to her identity. They weren't able to identify her.
This is true.
Huh. Well, actually, I want to go back to the Mephisto point real quick, because I didn't know a lot about him, but I did a tad bit of research. But it'd be interesting because it would actually fit in with the X-Men, the old X-Men universe more, since they introduced Apocalypse, and that's more mythological, But
Yeah,
Mephisto is a literal demon, so this would it would bring that more mythological aspect that Marvel has been more or less missing, besides like Thor and Loki, into the Marvel universe.
That's true, and I mean, again, like her children are supposed to be like soul fragments of Mephisto too. So, I mean, this all could be part of that overall. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be something where because she has the power to, at least in the comics, again, she had the power to destroy all mutants, or at least most of them. I feel like she would have the power to possibly create mutants.
Right.
So hypothetically, I still think it's going to be after her. Because I feel like she probably somehow got, I mean, because like they were saying, anything that she does in the reality is true. It comes to fruition. Like, she is actually creating that. So it's like, it's a possibility she actually brought, like you said, Pietro over, or maybe she actually just somehow creating a new Pietro. I don't fucking know.
And that she might him.
Exactly.
That
she might actually create one.
That I actually wanted to point out. I thought that was really clever by the writers. That who was the doctor in
Dark World?
What's her name?
Thor. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember.
I don't remember her name actually. Diane. Someone with a D, I think.
Yeah, but I love the fact she's just like, they recast Pietro. I was I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I love her character.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I'm really excited by it, but at the same time, if they don't do this right, if they are just like throwing him in and not going to have some kind of overall like interesting reason for bringing his specific actor in,
my guy, they most definitely are. They're bringing Tobey Maguire back, so they're
that's true. I know, but I'm just saying, like, and like, I don't want it just to be like they're gonna be like, oh, they recasted him, and then just be like, just leave it at that.
Wait, for Spider-Man 3, they're doing a Spider-Verse sort of thing?
This has been confirmed for ages.
Tobey and Andrew Garfield, my guy.
I do not follow this, but
do you want the lot here? These are all the people that's going to be in Spider-Man 3. You got
they're bringing
Tom
back.
Holland,
they're also bringing back Mary Jane,
Charlie Cox. Yeah, they got Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. You got Tobey Maguire coming back. You got Andrew Garfield, Jamie Foxx as whatever his name is. Electro's coming back as like he's gonna have a different costume though. And then you got Charlie Cox as Daredevil is gonna be in it. I think She-Hulk might be in it.
This is gonna
Who
be the
else,
fucking
though?
greatest movie in existence.
Honestly, though.
Who else is in it? Like, it's
Fucking
gonna be
everybody, bro.
amazing. Well, basically, isn't what's gonna happen is what everyone was speculating was WandaVision was gonna mess up everything, like multiverse wise, and you're gonna see the repercussions in Spider-Man 3, and
And
then the
also,
Multiverse of
yeah.
Madness is where everything is gonna get fixed with Scarlet Witch and Doctor
Doctor
Strange is gonna
Strange.
be in Spider-Man 3 as well. So,
Doctor Strange is Senior Scratchy. Remember Frank's
Yep.
theory?
Oh, yeah,
Senor
yeah.
Scratchy is Doctor Strange, so don't forget. Mephisto is controlling Wanda,
Wait.
and Doctor Strange is Senor Scratchy.
Working
Spider-Man
with
3.
Agnes.
Who's
What'd you say?
Senor Scratchy again?
The bunny that Agnes had.
Wait, what did Matt just
Oh.
say?
He said
And-
working
and-
with Agnes.
And working with Agnes. Because maybe Agnes is either like a pupil or like just someone that is friends
Matt!
with Doctor
We're onto
Strange.
something.
Well, if you think about
We're
it too, because
onto
Doctor
it, Matt. We're
Strange,
onto it.
Doctor Strange's main job is to protect the Earth against mystical forces. So it's like this is the perfect thing. He would obviously know
And-
about all this going on.
No, I mean maybe Wanda actually just was like, Doctor Strange, I don't want you tampering with my stuff, so I'm gonna turn you into a bunny for the time being.
Well-
He's just like Can she do that to him?
Probably. Going off that same line of thought though, then who's Sparky? I feel like Sparky was something more than just a one-off thing.
Sparky died so Quicksilver could come back. I don't know.
Law of equivalent
Yeah, that was
exchange.
the saddest MCU death ever. Oh my god. Did
Eat your
Agnes
heart
was
out,
that
Tony Stark?
maybe that was Mephisto? Fuck.
Guys, remember in Far From Home when Peter's asking like where all the heroes are, and he asked where Doctor Strange was, and Nick Fury just plainly said unavailable? It's because he's a rabbit.
But you mean
my
Nick Fury? You mean Skrull Man?
Shut up. Yeah, that guy.
Oh
Talos.
god, I hated that.
Oh, you don't like Talos? I like Talos.
No, I like Talos. I love. He was like one of my favorite characters in Captain Marvel. I just hated him turning out to be Nick Fury in Far From Home.
Oh, I was fine with that.
It was whatever.
I thought it was a kind of little funny thing. I was like,
Isn't he Nick Fury in like every Marvel movie technically?
No. I don't
What?
want to believe it. I'm
I'm pretty sure that's what they were implying.
No.
Captain Marvel.
If there's
but-
even
no,
the
they
slightest
definitely were
chance-
not.
if that
What they were implying was that after Endgame, after everybody came back, including Nick Fury, and Captain Marvel was now on Earth, then he went with Captain Marvel out on her ship.
Ugh.
Really? I feel like they were implying Talos was Nick Fury the entire time.
Frank,
but-
I love you.
No.
There's no.
It's okay. I hate Captain Marvel and Matt hates Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
True that. And I feel like that'd be okay if they were doing it the way you're talking about. Then yes, that is absolutely stupid, and I hate it. But I don't believe that's what they're doing. I'm pretty sure they're
No.
doing Captain Marvel came back to
refuse
the
it.
world, like actually met up with Nick Fury.
I will not.
and-
I'm gonna make my
No.
own canon if they decide to do that. That is
I don't
not
think they
allowed.
did. I don't believe that's what they did.
There's
Because
no way.
the
That
here's
ruins
the thing.
everything. Are you kidding me?
The reason I
No.
know it is because I feel like that was their way of excusing how incompetent Nick Fury was in that movie by just saying at the end like JK was Talos.
No, that's what I'm saying.
According to this thing I'm
Talos,
reading,
praise Talos.
according to this one thing I'm reading, he could have been Talos all the way back into Winter Soldier if we're going off of the weird
your fucking
diagonal
theories
cut
outta here,
sandwich
dude.
thing.
No,
But-
it's not true. It's not true.
I don't think that's correct.
I would personally think that'd be
Oh,
kind of
God.
cool, but
No, it
No,
would
I
ruin
would
it.
hate
It would
that.
ruin everything. It would hate.
All the way back to Winter Soldier. What happened before that? Then Captain Marvel just randomly came to the world and just left again.
Winter Soldier was like
Yeah,
right
so are
after
you saying
Age of
that just
Ultron. I think. No, it was right after
No.
Avengers.
Are you saying this Talos man was the one that went up to Tony Stark and was like, "I'm gathering a bunch of individuals," or
No.
whatever he says?
No, that's not what.
he could have
That-
No,
That would have been
no.
terrible. I would hate
No,
that
that would be.
forever.
Oh, that would be awful because that means that the real Nick Fury never met any of them.
Yeah, no, I hate that. That'd be awful.
I hate that. That's so terrible.
God, it
Plus,
sucks.
like-
why do you keep
Pl-
bringing this up, Colin? Kidding.
Why would
Yeah.
You're the
also
We have
You're
a
dragging
beautiful
it out.
WandaVision.
why would
Wait. It's I love. Remember the end. Oh wait, go ahead, Michael. I'm about to
No, sorry. I was gonna say
why
why would Talos and his wife leave their children for like
Dude, I don't care. I was just entertaining the idea.
Bad idea.
You should feel bad.
I love how Vision was like, we're not ending this conversation at the end, and then she starts to roll the credits.
I love that. I thought it was actually over, and then they kept going. I was like, wait a second.
And then Quicksilver.
Oh yeah,
man. It's very interesting.
What's more interesting is that I don't think she actually brought him back. If you realize she's like,
no, she didn't,
because
she may have accidentally.
Maybe, but she was
being
like
controlled. What do you guys think? I think she's being controlled by Mephisto somehow.
I think
she could be insane. Fuck, I don't want her to be bad though, because I really, really like her.
I mean, that happens.
I feel like it'd be really cool if she was bad for a little bit, you know?
So,
I agree.
In my opinion, I think what's happening is she's not doing all of it. She might be doing a little bit of it, but I don't think she's doing all of it. And somebody else is doing it, like maybe Mephisto, and she's just rolling with it. Mm-hmm. And just everybody's just planting the blame on her because, like she was saying, like she was literally telling Vision, like it's not me. And I don't know. I just feel like somebody else is probably doing the bulk of it because, like everybody else is saying too, they made it a point in this episode to be like, has she ever shown these powers before? Has she ever actually shown like this height of power that she could do? And everybody's no. So part of me just feels like
you got her heart broken.
Yeah, here's what I think. I think that she has done enough of it on her own that people are not going to trust her after this is all over, and it'll take what happens in Spider-Man as well as the next Doctor Strange to rectify that and for her to have her redemption arc. But I do think
I agree
that somebody is manipulating what is happening with her to do something worse. Because remember my theory.
Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Because remember my theory about that Vision's job was just a front for some villain to use him like a computer to calculate shit. I think there's somebody might be using it. Maybe I could be totally wrong, but
wait, I think you're onto something because if you think about it, what did they specifically say in this episode?
There was an email.
Vision. No, not besides that. They also said Vision specifically didn't want to come back because he didn't want to be used as a weapon. So it's like this might be somebody using Wanda's heartbreak to bring him back so that they can use him as a weapon.
Yeah.
Ultron.
We just solved it.
What if hold on, what if this is a way to bring back Ultron?
Okay,
I'm pretty sure that happens. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my god!
I'm pretty sure Ultron hacks into Vision's like mind and becomes back like multiple. He's his AI.
That's true. Well, you know what my actual thought is on why Vision doesn't remember anything? Not only is it obviously because he's technically dead, but remember how they had to download his whole consciousness, or they were talking about downloading his consciousness in Wakanda back in Infinity War? I feel like they actually did most of it, or at least copied most of it.
So they basically have Jarvis again?
Basically, but like Vision, I guess. I don't know. But I think they have all of his like, consciousness or AI on like the Wakandan servers, and then now that's why he doesn't remember it.
No, they did. No, guys, what if they didn't copy? They didn't copy Vision. They copied Ultron.
Oh man, I want Ultron back so bad. I think I liked him better than Thanos, to be honest. He was so goddamn
They
cool.
need to bring back Ultron and actually do something really cool. Because Ultron's like, if I'm not mistaken, he's like almost on the not on the level of Thanos, but like at least for the Avengers, he's usually like a planetary like taking over the planet kind of dude.
He's technology, and I need to watch Age of Ultron. I'm gonna go watch some clips on YouTube before I go to bed today. That's such a good movie. Oh my god.
James Spader did a great job as Ultron because he had the very difficult job of having to follow up Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and I think he managed to be entertaining in a similar way while having a completely different like end game in mind. And I think that
end game
and his whole plan, I just liked the I don't know, his whole scheme of like raising Sokovia and then using it to drop like basically just the next
eradicate the humans,
to eradicate
the Big Bang.
Humans. I love grand plans like that. So
I feel like that
climax was great.
That was the most comic booky villain like plot in all of MCU. I feel like
like and that's one of the reasons why.
Like, I'm gonna pick up a whole city and our country and drop it on the earth.
And that's why I love that movie so much.
He's a robot type thing. He's like these humans are awful. They just fight each other and are terrible.
Well, that's
and
why
I'm just gonna eradicate them
he
and
is
create
such
a better race. They're all awesome villains.
They
You
honestly
went
are.
from Loki to Ultron to Thanos. Like, it's so good.
And they all kind of had their own like humanizing moments in a way.
It's so good. The MCU is brilliant.
Michael, to answer your question about which the AU show this opening was based off of, it's based off of Family Ties, apparently.
I don't know what the fuck
It's an
that
80s
is.
sitcom.
I have never watched that.
Do you guys what's the name of the villain that was Doctor Strange's first movie villain?
Dormammu, technically.
Do you think he could have anything to do with Wanda? Because he's like, oh, look at that. Time to channel my evil powers into her or something.
No, because Dormammu doesn't have any direct control over this dimension.
And he was trapped in a time loop.
You know what it is? It's Mordo.
Oh yeah, the Chiwetel Ejiofor's character from Doctor Strange.
Because if this is leading right into Doctor Strange 2, I feel like it's going to be about, because they can't do nothing with Mordo for that long. I feel like they've had him out of it for so long, they need to bring him in. So they're probably going to have like him show up at the end or something, and then that's how it ties into Doctor Strange 2 as well.
Probably.
That'd be pretty dank. Maybe that's why Doctor Strange is a bunny, and she's trying to figure out how to change him from a bunny into Doctor Strange again, because Mordo turned him into a bunny.
I am just really excited that the idea of having Ultron back, honestly, that has me so excited.
If they need they need to bring him back. That's all I have to say. They have to bring him back in some regard, because he is a villain that is specifically supposed to come back because of how many versions of him there's supposed to be.
Well, and the cool thing would be, because one, Tony Stark is gone and he created him, so we could have some really cool dialogue with that. And a lot of the number one thing about comic book villains is they're back twice as better, baby, to destroy the world. So we don't really have that many reoccurring villains besides like Loki. Am I right? I think Loki, but he's really not a villain.
Yeah, now he's probably going to get turned into like into more of like an anti-hero at this point, which I'm all for.
Yeah,
but
same.
Which off topic, and I just love talking about MCU. They are assembling the what is it? The Young Avengers, Michael?
Yeah, the Young Avengers.
Because Michael, you can list off all the people that they have that they're entering into the MCU that are members of the Young Avengers. But a member of the Young Avengers is Loki, but he somehow turned himself young, and Loki's doing that whole time thing. What if he ends up turning himself back into like a teenager and joining the Young Avengers? That would be so cool.
That'd be fun. Who else is going to be in the Young Avengers? Is it going to be Miss Marvel?
Read them off, Mike.
So Miss Marvel is supposed to be part of it, as far as I know. So you got young Loki.
I think Miles Morales is in it.
Yeah, Miss Marvel. I believe Miles is supposed to be in it. I'm kind of going off of just a few other games and stuff that I've seen, and I've read a few things about it. Who else? Technically, King the Conqueror, but when he's actually a kid, is supposed to be in it.
Oh, that's good. Interesting.
He has like Iron Man. He has like Iron Man.
Iron Lad. I think that's who that is, if I'm not mistaken.
King the Conqueror, an alternate version of him that went back in time, comes into our timeline and is like, I gotta be a good guy, and it becomes like an Iron Man type character.
Yeah. So basically, King the Conqueror is the evil version, and he goes back in time to talk to this kid, which was himself, that used to get like bullied a lot, and that's how he became evil. And he's basically telling him not to be good, but to be more evil and to start earlier, because he thinks he would be more successful then.
That's hilarious.
And then instead, the kid's like, "Who the fuck are you? This is awful. I don't want to become you," and then turns into a good guy instead.
That's amazing. What?
And
I know.
if I'm not mistaken,
I didn't know that until today.
And if I'm not mistaken, he is related to Reed Richards as well. Either it's his dad or like his something. I can't remember. It's something with Reed Richards, because it's Franklin Richards.
Wiccan and Speed are in it too, which is Tommy and Billy, or whatever the hell the kid's name is.
Yes.
So they're literally just setting it up.
Yeah, they're literally setting it up.
Speed are pretty cool. Wiccan is like basically a different Scarlet Witch, and Speed is just a different
Quicksilver.
Also, Kate Bishop. I think Kate Bishop is in the Young Avengers.
Fuck yes! I'm so excited.
Also, I lied. Sorry. Franklin Richards is Reed Richards' son.
Can I just bring up a point?
Oh, Franklin Richards was the
Iron Lad.
Wait. What did you say, Michael?
No, I said Franklin Richards, but that's the son of
who Agnes cared for in the comics. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that
up. Right.
Yeah, Colin, what were you saying?
What were you saying, Colin? He's making fun of the name.
Oh, thank you. I was making fun of the fact that the young Iron Man is called Iron Lad.
Hey, that's brilliant. Yeah,
I mean, it's been more creative than Iron Boy.
Completely disregard what I said about King the Conqueror and having to do with anything about Mr. Fantastic, because from what I'm reading, I think I'm completely wrong.
No, I think you're right.
I'm reading it now, and it does not look correct.
Wow.
Oh shit. Yep. Never mind. Don't include that. But still, King the Conqueror I know goes back in time, and I'm pretty sure he still becomes Iron Lad as part of the Young Avengers. So.
Oh damn, that sucks.
I know, now I'm kind of sad because I totally thought they were going to do something with that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm correct, but maybe that's a different multiverse version, but...
WandaVision is most definitely a hit, and it is getting more interesting week to week. It's been a slow burn for sure, but the payoff is going to be tremendous.
Do you think if I name this episode WandaVision is still a hit? Do you think it's going to curse this episode just like our last WandaVision episode?
I mean, possibly.
I'm almost tempted to do it.
Maybe. I mean, I'm going to be the one titling this shit, so let's see. But do we have anything else we want to say, or can we start wrapping up?
I want to actually go back and say that I was actually somewhat correct. It's just a different version of King the Conqueror from a different Earth.
Okay.
Because he does become Nathan Richards, who also is part of the Young Avengers as Iron Lad. So just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I could talk about MCU for days. So.
Yeah, we could. Honestly, I know just me looking things up usually puts me down like a rabbit hole of finding out like 20 billion other things that I'm like, ooh, they could do this or that.
Yeah, this is a dangerous topic for certain.
It is, which is why we should cut it off.
So thank you all very much for listening. We had a blast doing this episode. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think we really should have capitalized on weekly WandaVision discussion a long time ago. But again, kind of dangerous because we can go on for ages. But thank you very much for sticking with us. Thank you for supporting us. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, The Critical Spectrum on Instagram, follow us for our cool memes. And Michael and Frank they share some pretty good shit. If you'd like to read some of my written work, sakurasunrise.blog. I'm also an associate editor over at animequarterly.com. Links in the description for everything that we've discussed, and also we occasionally do D&D whenever our friend Ben streams D&D. That nobody is going to check out that stream from the recommendation of this podcast. We've determined, but because we don't have a solid schedule. But hey, if you ever want to possibly hear us play D&D together, twitch.tv/bigboybenjiboy, boy spelled with an I.
Of course. Naturally.
And, of course, naturally. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week.